Hi everyone, happy Freaky Friday and welcome to Shivers. For today's Halloween Haunt review, we're talking about Pennhurst Asylum near Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In 1903, the Pennsylvania legislature authorized the creation of the Eastern State Institution for the Feeble-Minded and Epileptic, and a commission was organized to take into consideration and determine a placement for construction to care for these residents. This commission discovered that approximately 4,000 feeble-minded people were located in insane hospitals, county care hospitals, reformatories, and prisons, and were all in immediate need of specialized institutional care. Thus, these people were moved to what was now known as Pennhurst Asylum for care. About 80 years after its creation in 1903, in 1981, Pennhurst Asylum was in very bad shape. A Time magazine article described the place as having a history of being understaffed, was dirty, and violent. In 1983, 9 employees were indicted on charges ranging from slapping and beating patients, including some in wheelchairs, to arranging for patients to assault each other. The hospital had a horrible reputation and was officially closed due to poor treatment and living conditions in 1987. Renovations on the building began in 1990, and the entertainment piece that we see today really kicked off in about 2010. As it stands today, Pennhurst offers daytime tours, museum tours, paranormal ghost hunts, and travel and haunted attractions. It was recognized as one of the scariest places on Earth by Travel Channel's FearFest in 2019. Pennhurst Asylum offers 3 haunted attractions through its Halloween Haunt and leads you directly from one to the other. The first one is Legendary Pennhurst Asylum, second one is the Morgue, third one is the Tunnels. Each attraction is a walkthrough inside, and the actors can touch you and separate you from your group. Starting with the Legendary Pennhurst Asylum, this was a walkthrough of the main building of Pennhurst, leading you through the main floor and upstairs to get a true tour of the building, while also showing some unique and creepy scenes along the way. Each room had its own individual theme, so every room that you walked into was really its own experience. The one room in particular that really stuck out to me was a room filled with bunk beds, and they had actors on each of the bunks with either a straitjacket on or just looking really wild, and they were yelling at you saying, "Stay for a slumber party, stay for a slumber party." And so it was a really effective way to feel like you were in an authentic insane asylum by having some of the patients be telling you that they want you to stay or they want you to sleep over, whatever it may be. So that was a really impactful scene, in particular for the Legendary Pennhurst Asylum. Moving on to the Morgue, this was truly in the morgue area of Pennhurst, in the basement of the main building. So you walk downstairs as soon as it starts, and you're immediately greeted by the slamming refrigerators of the body doors. Some of the silver tables that are typically laying around in a morgue were there with fake bodies on them, and a fake doctor yelling at you saying that you're next, things like that. So the morgue area itself was really creepy, and then it was the same thing as upstairs. So every single individual room that you went in, moving on from there, was its own individual theme. So you got to see a lot of different things. Leaving the morgue, there was this one woman who was dressed as an insane asylum patient, sitting on top of a dead body, ripping out its guts, and she points at you and throws the guts at you, and they're actually sticky and they're wet. So it, again, feels very authentic and very real. Finishing up with the Tunnels, this was claustrophobia central. Going back to actual Pennhurst times, they had tunnels that ran from building to building and all the way across the land so that caretakers and workers could move through there, move the laundry, move food, whatever it may be, without having to go from just outside to outside. So the tunnels really are very expansive, range for a very long walkway, and are completely underground. So being able to go through the tunnels itself was really creepy, especially at night. Walking through, initially, they split the tunnel in half, the main tunnel in half, and so the entire time you're expecting someone to jump out at you, but they don't. So you get that anxiety-inducing fear just by simply walking in a straight line, and then they make you do a U, and then you walk the other side of the tunnel before going into their own man-made area. So in the man-made area, they kind of shrunk it down a little bit, so if you are a taller person or a bigger person. It's very claustrophobic. And in here, there was a bit of a sci-fi area that lasted for a little bit of a long time, kind of looking as if they were doing secret experiments underground. So it was cool. It was a nice change of pace from the gore and things like that. If sci-fi is your thing, then I certainly highly recommend checking it out. But it did, I think, take away from the scare factor a little bit by making it more unrealistic than just if there was an insane asylum escapee or something running in tunnels, something like that. But that's just my 2 cents. So that was really the tunnels area, but again, very creepy because you are underground. And then as soon as you get out from underneath the tunnels, then you are by the merchandise, by the food. It's just a very nice flowing way of going through everything. I would say, in general, each walk through the morgue, the legendary Pennhurst Asylum, and the tunnels, the walkthroughs themselves lasted anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. So you get a nice amount of space that you get to walk, things that you get to see, all of the above. So moving on to the rating itself, on a scale of 1 to 5 for Artistry, I definitely give it a 5 out of 5. I think they did a fantastic job of lighting up the buildings, making everything very inviting, but also keeping that spooky factor. It was very Halloween-y, so they had very nice music playing while you're waiting in lines. They had all the food, they have all the concessions, so it does feel like a very entertaining piece. But going through the actual attractions and being able to go into the old buildings and see that history just really took it to a whole new level. So for Artistry, for sure, give it a 5 out of 5. For the production itself, also a 5 out of 5. Kind of like I was saying, it's just a really easy way to get from point A to point B to point C while also being kind of forced to explore the grounds. So you see everything that you would possibly want to see. And everything is very organized. So you don't have to worry about people cutting in front of you in line or waiting in one specific line for too long of a period of time. Everything flows, everything's very smooth. And even the drive up to Pennhurst itself was very easy. And everything's lit up, everything is directional, there's signs everywhere, so it's perfect. Very common sense at its core, which is great. For customer service, also a 5 out of 5. They had some great security measures as soon as you walked in, so you don't have to really worry about too much. Every single person that you see along the way with their lit up green vests on, they said, I hope you have a great time. Hope you have a good time. And being able to see who they are and not just people with walkie-talkies was also very comforting, just to know that there are people who are there that are kind of out for your best interest. So the friendliness and just the safety perspective, I really did appreciate. So I would give it a 5 out of 5. For the environment itself, I would also give it a 5 out of 5. I think this is somewhere that you can go rain or shine and not be miserable if it's raining or if it's hot or if it's cold. Everything was just very well thought out. Going from the parking lot to the inside was a little bit of a long walk, but all you have to do is follow the string lights. So you don't have to worry about pulling out your phone and turning your flashlight on. Everything's well lit up. Everything's well thought out. And so for the environment itself, definitely a 5 out of 5. For the decor, I would also say a 5 out of 5. I think being able to go into these very spooky, scary rooms individually and know that terrible things have happened here, but that you're also experiencing something of an entertainment. They did it in such a way where you felt a little bit of both. So being able to see some of the authentic pieces of furniture from the rooms, but then see the actors themselves and the decor and whatnot, I think was just done very well. For the makeup and costumes, I would give it a 4 out of 5. There are a couple of characters that are staple characters that you'll see on the trailer walking around. They have really great, elaborate costumes on, but everyone outside of them is really nothing special. So there's no person or people individually that are like, wow, look at their makeup. So for that, I would say a 4 out of 5. The people who do have that elaborate makeup, they look great. And finally, for the scares themselves, I would give it a 4 out of 5. Going into it, I was a little apprehensive of being able to be touched or things like that, but ultimately all they did was really run their fingers through your hair or hit the back of your neck. So they were kind of tickling you more than they were doing anything else, or they were grabbing your hair and they were like, oh, what soft hair you have. So it was like free compliment day, basically. So adding all of that up and putting it together, we get a score of 4.7 out of 5. I love Pennhurst Asylum, and I would recommend it to absolutely anybody. So thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this review. This will probably be our last Halloween Haunt review, so on Halloween we will pick the winner. As it stands so far, surprise, surprise, Pennhurst is at the top, but we will rank them from best to least and naming the biggest reasons why. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy your Freaky Friday and have a fabulous weekend.